Analyze the record of any man who has accumulated a great fortune and many of those who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you will find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force which may be likened to a third mind. It is not essential that you have this knowledge in your own mind. You may bridge your weakness through the aid of your mastermind group. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 1937. Welcome to the Empowered Podcast, episode 92. Today is all about the look and the sound and the feel of mastermind groups. I'm your host, Ellery Wells, and today we're going to look at an inside, behind-the-scenes look at one of the meetings for one of my mastermind groups. We've been meeting for almost a year now, and after the call, I got the permission first, but I thought, you know what? This would be a really good look at the power of a mastermind. We talk about tools, email marketing tools, LLCs versus DBAs. We had one of my members on the hot seat, and we just dove into what he needed, answered some questions for him, provided some feedback. We looked at providing some protection of your identity with a P.O. box, creating separate bank accounts and brands. We looked at WordPress themes, project management tools, and even how to get refocused in creating that first digital product. So if you are one of the listeners out there who is working nights and weekends, they are heads down and you are hustling and trying to get things done, and maybe you're looking for someone to just bounce ideas off of, or to someone who will walk down this path with you, or maybe it's someone who you can share your ideas, your goals, and your dreams, what you want to accomplish outside of your day job. You want to share that with someone and not have them look at you like you are crazy, look at you like you are nuts. This is the type of environment that I provide to some of my clients, and just really want to see them encouraged, keep them accountable, and help them get results. That's what you're going to get out of this episode. Again, it's a behind-the-scenes look with Derek, Jason, Steve, and myself, and you're going to get some fantastic information and a good idea of how I run my masterminds and how you can use masterminds to help you become more successful as well. If you're listening to this in the summer of 2015, and this sounds like something that you want to be a part of. You want to be part of a mastermind, and you want to be part of a community like this and have access to these resources and the kind of positive encouragement and accountability that you're about to listen to. Shoot me an email, ellery@ellerywells.com, or go to empoweredpodcast.com/92, and you can get a link in those show notes to where you can apply to be a part of the next mastermind starting this fall in about the September timeframe. So even if you're listening to this in the future, don't worry. I start a new mastermind about 4 times a year, about once every quarter, just to keep up with the demand. And I would love to have you be a part of the next one. And even if it's not the right fit, I still want to talk to you and see how I can help you become successful. So email me about joining the mastermind, ellery@ellerywells.com, or go to empoweredpodcast.com/92, and you'll see a link in the show notes there. Now let's go right into this behind-the-scenes look of one of my mastermind calls. How's everybody doing today?
Hi, God. I'm doing good.
Good.
Yes.
Oh,
What's been going on? Somebody share some good news.
I almost ran a marathon yesterday.
Almost ran a marathon. You get that many steps, Steve?
23 miles.
And
Wow.
Where are you getting these? You're delivering mail? You're getting out of a truck and like putting it in mailboxes, or what?
In my living room.
Dude, your
how do you have any carpet?
Gotta be messed up.
I mean, you gotta have that thing.
That's crazy.
Cooler in there.
You'd be wearing holes in your carpet, man.
Nope. It looks good.
Did you ever do that thing I was telling you where you should count out your steps and see if your pedometer tracks them correctly?
I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to because it's been acting up, I think.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, 22 miles in your living room? I mean...
It was 7 hours worth of running.
See, that just seems ridiculous. You're not awake for 7 hours where you're not on the job, right?
No, I was up at 6 in the morning and started running at 7 and ran for an hour, and that's 10,000 steps. And then ran off and on all day because about 30,000 steps, my feet were killing me.
I bet. So Steve almost ran a marathon. Maybe we'll have to test the validity of that. Derek, what's a big win for you, man?
I was hoping to tell you guys that I was doing another website, but they removed my proposal from their meeting minutes because they had, I don't know if I'm working on a website or going to be working on a website for a condo community, but they had to fire their landscape crew or something, so it took over the whole meeting and they didn't get to look over my proposal, but the president was interested. So I guess that's a win. He's interested. Just have to wait it out and see how interested he actually is.
Sure. Remind me to come back to CRM, which may be a new term for some of you guys. I don't know if I've mentioned it or brought it up, but specifically for you, Derek, I think that would be something we could touch on, and maybe as part of your hot seat, it'll come up and make some sense. But Beaton, how are things with you, man?
Rocking and rolling. I actually took Friday off, so I kind of have a 4-day weekend. Most I got consumed pretty rapidly in the weekend with household honeydews. However, Friday I got some great progress done on my email campaign. Set all my templates up, so it's literally just kind of copying in my tweaked content and setting them up on sign up or subscription pages. So it works out well.
Awesome. I know Beaton's been working up till midnight a few nights, and so I know he's hustling. And I was talking to Matt Lovell, who you guys have met in the Facebook group. He's hustling. We talked about that on the book club call today, where he's trying to double down on his side hustle, make it his main hustle. I'm really excited to start seeing all this interaction in the Facebook group. You guys are connecting and meeting one another, and people are getting results and moving forward, and that makes me really excited. Just to give everybody an update on me, I'm still not done moving my email service over from GetResponse to ActiveCampaign, but it's a process and it's kind of fun. I am possibly doing some more website work for that part of the business and managing email and autoresponders and some SEO, which I think I'm going to end up doing some new proposals for that, Derek. So if you want to include that in part of your business, probably give you those templates. I haven't even created them yet, but depending on how this next customer goes, it may be something to where, if it does go through, I'll have to hire somebody, my first employee, a virtual assistant or something, to get it to work, which would be a huge step for me. I think it'd be a big step for anybody, but it's pretty exciting for me, and I'm excited about the ability to do that. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I did some testing and playing around with Periscope yesterday. It just released for Android. It's been out on iOS devices for a while, and I really think that this app could change how we do almost everything. I saw Marlon Wayans, the movie star, comedian, one of the Wayans brothers, kind of a behind the scenes look. I saw John Acuff doing a video from his hotel room. Someone was live streaming the Neil Diamond concert from Houston. People are doing a broadcast of local news events. And I think for where we all are, the personal benefits inside and just it being fun, I think it could change how we build reputations online and connect with an audience. So check it out. It's free and you just sign in with Twitter and all that stuff. But just something I'm kind of excited about and have kind of become somewhat addicted to over the last just 30 hours or so. It's pretty fun. Anyway, Derek, the man of the hour, the hot seat, things that are working, not working, some more wins, them things that didn't go so well.
So I guess number one, first and foremost, it's something that I've been thinking about, and maybe I'm getting out ahead of myself, but I've always been told you don't really have to worry about the LLC stuff or anything like that until you make your first $600. Well, I've made that. So, that's something that's been in the back of my mind for the last 2 or 3 weeks. What's the next step for that? What's the next step to make this legit? What do I need to do to make this a business?
Do you have any friends that you went to school with that went on to law school?
No. You must not have known my friends.
So the beer drinking rednecks, is that who you're friends with?
Yeah, most of them are electricians or plumbers or welders.
Well, by the way, those are all perfect clients for you because they probably know shit about doing websites.
No, yeah. I mean, they don't
probably know very little about building an audience, even though, and this is where the CRM things would come in, and take this with a grain of salt if you want, but I'm finding some of the people that I'm working with online, they almost want a done for you service. They want to pay me and get it off their plate. And that might be a market for you on these guys to where they just pay you. It's going to be somewhat expensive, $20, $30, $50, $100 an hour or something. Do it on a monthly rate. And then you sign up for something like a reseller account with Active Campaign, which I could give you guys free trials and all that stuff. But all of a sudden they're paying you as the marketing expert and you manage their autoresponders. And you can use a template for more than one client, but hey, here's the latest plumbing news, or something like that, leveraging your expertise, and it's adds value to them and it's completely off their plate. Since we're the DIY types, we want to get in there and do it. We want to show people how to do it themselves. But I think there's also value that we might be missing and revenue that we can be bringing in where we charge more for the done for you service and kind of forget about the showing people how to do it themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So all that to say, if you have that or LegalZoom probably, I think LLCs are pretty basic. There will be.
I've got a few people that have done it. I'd rather just do my own thing and figure it out myself. Because the people that did do it, I know that they're not doing what I'm doing. They're doing something very different. And I know LLC is kind of a blanket thing, but I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly for me and not for what they're doing.
Sure. I think there's different ways, and see if any of your friends on Facebook, just ask them if they know somebody, because every state's going to be different. And what it'll come down to, Derek, for you is there will be a fee to the state. I've seen them anywhere from $150 to $300. I'm sure it's probably astronomical in California. But
that's how I looked. It was like $50. Yeah, for the original, the first, or it's $50 a year or something. I don't remember now.
Well, there should be a one-time. And again, it varies by state, but in Texas, it's a one-time fee of $300. So you'll have something you'll pay to the state, and if you go through LegalZoom, they ask a bunch of questions about what kind of business it would be, and then you have to pay them for their services, their filing. I think in Beaton, this is where I would want him to chime in. I think it would have been around $600 or $700 to get it done and set up. One of my college buddies who would have done it would have charged me $500, and I think that included the $300 to the state. And honestly, it's just paperwork.
Yeah, that's the exact same process I went through, Derek, was LegalZoom. Went through all the way to the point that they paid. You know, they had several sales through there as far as, you know, maintaining your membership and, you know, some other stuff. And including the $300 fee to the state, it was going to cost like $100 for them to file on my behalf. So, I mean, that's what it was in Texas. I don't know what it is in Georgia, but that's the process I went through. And ultimately, I already have a DBA. It's just a sole proprietorship DBA, which I've operated now for like 3 years, maybe even 4 years, with no problems. The challenge at that point though is I'm doing something different now. The risk is a little bit greater of something coming back on me, and that's where the LLC protects your personal. You know, it's not a sole proprietorship, so it protects your personal, you know, assets.
Okay.
Yeah. You can get a business account with a DBA, which I would suggest that you do. Keep all of your money separate, those kinds of things. I'm on LegalZoom right now. I just selected Georgia, and I'd probably throw you into consulting, although that's vague.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's good vague, I guess, because you can do anything with it.
Yes.
I'd get a P.O. box. I would get a separate bank account, and you can, if you search, you can find one without any fees. I have BBVA Compass, but I had to look through 8 banks, I think, to find one that didn't have limits, didn't have a monthly fee, all those kinds of things. If you have an option for an operating agreement is also, it's just one more layer between you and your private paycheck and getting sued. So LLCs are pretty good at protecting that. But when you are the LLC, sometimes there's a gray area. And I know this is kind of a lot, or it gets kind of technical, but part of the language with an LLC is people have to know that they are doing business with a business and not a person. So that's why you'll see on my PayPal, you'll see on my proposals, some of those other things, you will see Dwizzywid Media LLC on everything. Reason for that is I didn't know I was hiring a business. I thought I was hiring Derek, and Derek screwed up. No, the business screwed up. Derek works for it. Because I've thought for a long time about writing a blog post while I'm not, about why I'm not self-employed anymore. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of doing what we're talking about here is I don't work for myself. I work for Dwizzywid Media. So when you hire Dwizzywid Media, you get me and my team. So that's part of that as well. Is that too much information? Is that what you were looking for? Does it point you in the right direction?
That all makes sense, yeah.
And I don't want it to be complicated or push you away from doing that. I don't recommend the DBA because there's still a fee for that. So
my intentions are to wait and see if this contract goes through with this condo company. If it does, then I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Just that way, because they're very rooted in all the legal stuff. It's an older community, and they tried to sue the last person that did a website for them, and they sent them a cease and desist and all kinds of crap. So I want to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm doing it very, very different than the way the lady did it before. So I'm not too worried about it, but I still want to be prepared for anything.
Well, that's why I mentioned also the if you have a friend or someone who is out of law school and they might give you a discount, or a family member or someone who you know, like all your plumber friends, they probably have. Hopefully they're not doing LLC, or hopefully they're not doing DBAs, because if my house flooded, I'm going to be pissed.
All those guys are all union.
Oh, man.
They're under the big umbrella. They don't have to worry about nothing.
But yeah, hopefully that gives you at least a starting point. I was probably going to end up doing LegalZoom, but I found an attorney who I helped her with her website. It was kind of a services swap a little bit. So you might be able to do something like that as well. There's a variety, but congrats on making the $600+ man. I know you made 500. Was it in April?
No, that was it. That was the 600.
That's awesome.
But now that I've got another website brewing, I want to be prepared because I'm really not even marketing anything, and I'm already getting people just from reading my blog and stumbling across my services page. So,
dude, that's great. That is really great because it all starts there, man. And keep in mind as you're doing this, if you were making $300 a month and you had to get a VA for $200 a month, but your workload went from 20 hours to 2 hours, you still come out ahead. So as we're growing these things, and like I mentioned before, I might be at that point myself. It becomes a little bit more passive income. You accept the 300, you pay out, contract 200. You're only making 100, but you're not having to do hardly anything for it.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping to get this stuff moving in the right direction now.
I think you already are, man.
Yeah. I got to start marketing a little bit better. Need to do redo my website, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, I'm outgrowing what I got on there.
Yeah. We all get there. You can do it. What I would suggest, and you and I had messaged about this a few weeks ago. You and I had talked about getting a standard framework. We looked at Genesis and Studio Press and all those things, and we looked at the developer package.
Right.
Eliminating as many stumbling blocks as you can as you start to scale. Right. So using the same Genesis framework, for example, on all of the sites, how it works, the plugins that you like to do. You don't have to fiddle around trying to figure out how to add menus or custom things because you already know the framework. If you have 3 clients and you have 3 different frameworks and you have 3 different hosting companies and they want to make a change, you've got to the learning curve is 3 times what it would be for me, who I get everybody on the same framework. So you can streamline that. And I only bought the developer package of Studio Press like last month, I think. So I used customer money to pay for my expenses. I would suggest you do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's my intentions. A lot is in sitting on the burner waiting for this contract.
That's fine.
That's kind of where I'll jump on all this stuff, is after that goes through. Once everything's signed or whatever, I'll have a decent amount of money to play around with. So I'll probably I'll buy their theme and then buy a new theme for myself.
Well, just remember that would be 100 for the first one. The next one will be 35 to 40, depending on which one it is. So that's $150. And you could get the dev package for the next time it'll be on sale. I got it for $225. And I think it's normally $300, so I saved $75. So if you're going to spend $150, really consider spending another $50 or $60 and getting the developer package first, because you don't get a discount if you buy one. If you have already spent the money to buy 3 or 4 themes from them.
Yeah.
Had I was definitely different positions now than I was a year ago, but my first Genesis theme I bought in actually April of last year, and I've already spent, I don't know, $140 with them before I spent the $225. Just an idea. So, Beaton, did you have anything to add about the LLC from your research and experience over the last couple of weeks?
Not really. I mean, you're going down the right path. You're definitely using your money that you're earning to go that way, to pay for, which is always a plus. You're doing it smart. I was in the position when I started, I mentioned I did the DBA. I didn't know any better, to be honest with you. I didn't know any better. I just did the DBA, as my, myself doing the DBA. And, you're doing the right thing. I would say though, as you're starting to think about your brand and your message and what you do, I would position yourself as, think about it this way. What does really every business owner want? Why do they want a social media following? Why do they want a website? Why do they want someone to engage in them online? Typically, it's because they want people coming in their front doors and paying them money. So I would, as you're thinking about your business and how you want it evolving, think about that aspect and how you can differentiate yourself from just being another, digital, platform guy, like a social media guy or a website guy, and really start to think about how you can help them, or at least in your sales copy, your job is to get people in their door, so that's everything from ads to that whole email piece of it and engagement, everything like that. And if you're not familiar with some of that, give me a shout. I'll be happy to walk you through how some of that stuff works, and how you can really start to elevate you from start standing above the crowd, really by being able to drive people into the doors using different strategies and techniques. I know I've shared a lot of that with Ellery over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I think he's definitely sees the value in it and stuff he's going to be employing on his, for his memberships and stuff. But think about some of that as you're working through, your brand and who you are, what you want to do long term, something that you can stand out from everyone else from. So
I think that's really good feedback, Beaton, because right now, because one of the options on I'm on the page for the Legal Zoom. What is the name of your business? It could be something like Dizzywood Media. Nobody knows what the hell that means. I do, and whenever I explain it, it makes sense. But it's not Ellery Wells blog or Ellery Wells marketing or something like that. So when you're going into this, Derek, really think, what do you want? What do you want to do? Is it, I just want to build websites? That would be fine. It may be more where you could, like what I was talking about earlier with the SEO, with the email. It's definitely a business consulting, online, everything. The website, you see my price sheet, not, as we all know, the website, that's a bear to tackle. But really, once the website's done, that's like the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. And if you can position yourself as that person, Derek, and somehow convey that in your business name, and I don't want you to stall out thinking, well, is Fit Pro better, or is Fit Pro better, or is it, those kinds of things. Not to pick on Beaton, but you're really, and if you want to go this direction, Derek, what you're really doing is you're helping people who aren't online be online. Because if you're not online, you're not a business. How else are people going to find you? So as you're looking at your business mission statement, the brand and the name, and as you're doing your site redesign, and maybe this is all more than what you thought you were asking when we started the call, but think about how all of that incorporates to your mission and what that is. And maybe it is just flipping websites, or maybe it's, let's create an online presence for you that and you talked about doing social media a few months ago. Create an online presence for you that includes all of your social media marketing, your email marketing, how you send out newsletters to your customers, how you build an email list, how you build a reputation as the greatest plumber in the Southwest or Southeast, those kinds of things. Does that make sense? Or is that like totally off in left field for you?
No, I think that's, I have a lot of different interests. I think that's why I have had my exploding moment where I found it and I locked onto it, and that's what I'm doing, because that's the way I've always been. I don't think I've ever been, even with sports, I played 4 different sports. Like I'm terrible at finding one thing and focusing on it. I don't know if I have like ADD, or I like the social media stuff. I like the website stuff, but I don't like one more than the other. I like the outdoor stuff. How many people do you know that go hunting and fishing on the weekends and then stare at a computer for 6 hours building a website on Tuesday? I mean, it's
probably not all that many.
No, it's really not. So I'm terrible at focusing on one thing.
Sure.
So that's where I get waist deep in it, because I'm like, well, I kind of want to do this. Well, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to do this. So
let me ask Steve. Steve, how would you suggest Derek tackle this problem of figuring things out but still building a business that would scale?
Maybe to map it all out and have like on that Asana to have a timeline, or start from square one through step from 1 to 50, or follows like a checklist. Then he'll have that plan. He'll always have that plan. So if he gets sidetracked, he can just go back to the plan. I know it can be difficult. I'm somewhat the same way, but if he always has a timeline in front of him, then to work through that.
I would say, Derek, do one thing really well. Get it down to where you can build. I had the last site that I built, the guy told me, oh yeah, this is real easy. I mean, look how fast you built this website. It took me 3 years to figure out how to do this in 3 hours, man. So do those things and then talk to those people. What else do you need? So have that one product. Like we're talking about these other things that I mentioned, they're not on. I don't have a proposal for them. They're not on the website, but they came out of conversations and it's what the guy needs. So if you start here and then you figure out, okay, they need this over here. Well, they're already a client of mine. They've already paid me money. Why not offer this over here? I mean, how many businesses are built that way? I mean, just from my own experience, Michael Dell was building desktops in his dorm room. We probably all know the story. Now they do servers and installs and storage and everything else because that's what their customers needed. It evolved over time. And that's the same way that it has been for me. And when you're talking about not knowing don't start with social media. Start with these websites, make them look awesome. And then ask, well, what else do you guys need? Where else is there a need for your business to be online, to reach? Start with a question. Where do you get your audience? Well, if it's Google Ads,
yep.
I know a little bit about Google Ads. I can write copy for that. If it's
or better yet, they're likely to say by word of mouth. That's probably 80%, 90% of the small business owners are going to say word of mouth, because most small business owners don't know marketing. They don't know how to get people in the door. They just know how to serve them really, really well.
And then you come in, follow right up behind that and say, okay, that's perfect. How are you keeping track of all those people that you have a connection with? And they say, well, I'm just going to use the plumber analogy. I'm going to run with that. I know crap about my plumbing, but our sink started leaking and I might need somebody if and when it becomes a problem. How does your plumber, which is your client, track that person and stay connected with them? That's a warm-ish lead, and that's stuff that we all know. You might know. How do you track that? And if you can provide that, if you can go to your plumber buddy and say, I have a way to where you can keep track of all of those people who you have met that said, I think my hot water heater's not working. My sink leaks. I don't need right now. I can't afford it right now. I have a way for you, plumber man, to track this, and I will handle this for you. It's not something you started off to sell, but now that has become part of that larger picture of helping Georgia business owners make more money. And you see how all of that stems from getting them online in the first place?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say you have to go wild and say, well, I'll let you, I've got this studio and we'll video your plumbing videos and put them up on YouTube. You don't have to go that far, but getting all those videos up on a website and making those pages, That's part of my optimization package. You get 5 customizations a month, and you're paying me $200 or $300 for it. And all of a sudden, you go from selling pizza to cheesy bread to the dessert pizza, all the things that go along with pizza because it makes sense to serve your customers.
It's like the Dr. Pepper and the cooler right there next to the pizza. You check it out.
Yeah. That's why I heard I don't know if I've ever seen it because I don't shop. Maybe Beaton will know this answer, and Derek, you will here in a few months. I hear beer and diapers go well together because whenever hey, go get some diapers, and he's like, man, this sucks. Well, beer's here. You know, it's those kinds of things. And that's marketing. That's probably something that you learned a whole lot about in school, right?
Oh, yeah. So
just applying those things to your business and then providing those resources to people who really have no clue.
All right.
So what else are you working on, man? This is your power hour. Let's get it knocked out. Let's get you LLC'd and business planned. Well, what else, man? We still got a little bit of time. What else are you working on? What do you need help with?
The only other thing I was going to see, they always say ask about what everybody's pain points are. I was going to see what's the most obnoxious thing on social media for all you guys? If you're posting or when you think about social media, what makes you cringe, I guess? Because I'd like to be able to fix. What's that?
Dumbasses. Well, you can't really fix that.
I guess what I mean from your business standpoint.
For me, creating content that's unique to every platform.
Right.
Or that stands out, a Facebook image versus something that is really awesome for Pinterest versus tweets, just figuring out all that stuff. Because I think you have a great question, but I think you have already overcomplicated it. Because I would wonder how much the plumber knows about Facebook, and it could be just the basics. With a couple hours worth of research on the Facebook retargeting pixel, like John Dennis talked about. Same thing. Hey, plumber dude. What if you could target people who mention keywords within 100 miles, or they have visited this fancy new site for you that I built for you, and now we can put ads on Facebook to those same people, because your plumber might not be on Facebook, but his clients are. Right.
And then along with that, on your FAQ page, you could include a statement that says, question. What's all this social media or what's all this Facebook traffic I've been hearing about? And you can put an answer. Retargeting strategies are amazing. Anybody who's visited your site, you can actually put an ad directly in front of them. Imagine how often somebody will or kind of spin that using your FAQ page. List the question that you think they're going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess that's where I'm too deep into social media to look at it from the surface. It's kind of like Steve over there. Steve's like, I don't understand why anybody can't get 10,000 steps. I can run 7 miles in my living room. Once you get to that level, it's like, I don't understand people.
It's hard to take that step, that leap backwards to see it from, a beginner standpoint.
All right. I can't keep up with Steve. I tried.
Apparently nobody else either can keep up with Steve.
I'm not at 8,300 today, Steve. I don't know. I'm going to have to walk around my living room.
I'm probably at 83.
I got 14,295.
It's like, I've got 1 million just while we've been on this call. I haven't even moved. He's over here shaking his thermometer.
I've been there. We had to do that in college. I had to carry around a pedometer. Everybody be out in the hallway in front of class shaking the shit out of them. Bunch of cheaters. All right. Well, that was mostly all I had for today.
Steve, what's your pain point on social media to Derek's question?
I'm always on it and sharing with people. For me, is like if I try to contact somebody and they don't answer back, I don't know if that's a pain point or not. I mean, I know they're busy and I know they have other things to do, but
No, I run into that all the time. I actually tried to contact a kid the other day I wanted him to speak for a particular event we have coming up, and I know he's on his Twitter all the time, but he never even, people that don't respond.
Did you just say the Twitter?
Did I? I don't think I did. That doesn't sound like something I do.
The first step would be just calling it Twitter. Would that be my guess? I don't know.
Ellery didn't respond to something I said on Saturday. How about that?
I didn't?
wow.
I'm just looking through my Facebook messages to see who hasn't responded to me. Oh, look at there.
If it's not a question, if it's a statement, it's like...
Hey, it ended with a question. That's why I brought it up.
Well, let me see, Derek. Let me go in and... am I going to get any rest and relaxation this weekend? Yes. Very good. Consider yourself responding.
Thanks.
No,
I feel better now. I was worried about that all weekend.
I bet you you're not getting sleep. You're losing sleep over my well-being.
Oh man, I was so worried. I thought you were mad at me or something. I didn't know what our relationship status was.
What does it change it to? Undecided or whatever?
Yeah. Right.
But to your question there, these guys may not know what. You might have to tell them what their problems are.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be something that you have to do, Derek, over and over, is tell them what their problem is.
Yeah, I've run across the like you were mentioning just a minute ago, having to create a different size image and a different layout and a different for every single social media site.
So back that up to a level of okay, plumber. Right now you're not on social media, and there's people bitching about their broken plumbing on Twitter all the time. What if I was able to funnel those leads to your website for you?
Right.
That's something Joe the plumber, which was, the big campaign celebrity of a few years ago. That's something that he can understand, right? Everybody wants to get more contacts, more leads, or maybe they have all the business they can handle and you can help them in other ways, but figuring out how you can help them in providing that service is what is going to be your key. And going back to this example of this proposal that I'm kind of working on, I sent him over pricing today. Again, no official proposal, but I was like, what if you could take all of this work that you've already done? You've already written these documents. What if we put those up as blog posts? So it's fresh content. Google loves fresh content. It's SEO optimized because that's part of my package that you're buying from me. And then all of a sudden, people who are coming to you for resources, it's just a real easy download. We have an opt-in box that says, you like this? Download this as a resource so that you can use it. And all of a sudden, he's building pipeline of potential new clients. He's building relationships online, establishing himself as an authority. And but you see how that presents them with a what if scenario, and then by the way, I can deliver that.
Right.
And that's pretty universal, because just like you said, how many people are during the week are sitting behind a computer and doing video chats, and then on the weekend are going out getting muddy and wearing camo? Probably not very many. But if you target the people that are going out and wearing camo and saying, I can relate to these guys, I know, I can talk camo and guns and hunting spots. But by the way, I can deliver on this what if scenario of you capturing these warm leads, these prospect ideas on a website. Oh, you don't have a website, by the way, I can do that too. And all of a sudden, it's not just marketing. It's not one time set up. Hey, $600 is great, but you'd probably rather have, $200 the next 12 months per month. You see?
Yeah. I think that's something I'm going to have to connect is the blue collar stuff with, because a lot of the people that I hang out with don't have any interest at all in starting their own business. They don't want any of that hassle. They've got a good employer. They got good insurance. They got a couple kids and wife in the house, and they're fine. Like, that's their thing. It bothers the crap out of me. I wish I could be like that. I wish I could just be cool with
ignorance is bliss, right?
I wish I could just have a job and just go do my job. And
part of me says,
cool with it,
part of me says you got to change who you're hanging out with if you want to do something different. Change your behavior, get different results. But that's kind of difficult, right? This weekend I hung out with a cardiologist and a director of marketing for a LED sign company. Neither one of them really want to start their own business, but I hung out with them. But either they might know people, and that's not why I hung out with them, or by putting this stuff out online, you can separate your business life and your personal life. I mean, Beaton and I've known each other for, almost like 30% of our lives, and the going to the gym and doing all that it has no interest to me. I'm not his ideal client, but we still hang out. We talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't hire you to build websites because I do that, but we can brainstorm together and talk about it. Hopefully that all makes sense.
Yeah, I just need to get more abstract with my thinking, I think, more than anything. And I'm trying to, I know that that's one of the main reasons that I joined this group is because I don't have a lot of people around me that have any interest in this stuff. I've got some people that are interested in the website stuff, and some people I've helped with the social media stuff, but they're not serious about it most of the time. And like one person they mentioned something about helping them do social media and all this and that, and I showed them how to use the analytics, and they're like, okay, thanks. And they took off with it. Like they had no interest in me helping them after I showed them that. So
you'll have those by going through that, you'll hone your message. We have to work for free. As much as it sucks, that guy is now hey, how did you learn how to do Google Analytics? 6 months from now, Derek showed me. Oh, let me go check out this Derek dude. It's just sometimes you work for free, sometimes it pisses you off. But now Google Analytics better than before you showed that guy, I bet.
So Derek, my question is, when you're talking to either your friends or anybody about what it is that you do, you talked about their pain points, or you mentioned trying to find out the pain points, right? And I don't mean to beat this with a horse stick analogy thing, but
beat it with a horse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would ask the question, how much is the customer worth to you? Okay. And then the follow-up question is, what if I can get you 10 more customers over the next 8 weeks, or a new customer every week for the year? Because me, as what I do is I improve your image, I connect you with social media, and I connect those dots to get people in the doors. So a pain point for most business owners is cash flow. So maybe that type of conversation will lean less on the how and more on the what. So one phrase that I've heard over the past week has been, you give away the what, but you sell the how. The how that's really what you do. You do the how, and you give away the what and the concept all day long, but the actual how in the process is something that they pay for. So that might help you out and get you going on the right track too.
What are you thinking now, Derek?
No, there's a big mindset shift that slowly going through it. I'm trying to get back to where I was when I joined this group. I think I definitely lost it. I'm just drowning myself in this stuff, trying to get back focused. I was at the point of all my buddies to where I was like, well, this work is okay enough. I can make it.
97% of the world is that way, Derek. You can't beat yourself up for it.
No, yeah. I know. So that's why I'm pushing back in the other direction, because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur since way before any of this stuff ever came up. That was always something that was in me, because my grandfather was a contractor and owned Dale Brought Builders Inc. And that was like, wow, that was impressive to me. And that's what I always want to do. So I'm trying to get back to those roots of what I actually want to do. You get bogged down. I mean, you guys know just as much as anybody else. You get a job and family and everything else, and all this stuff kind of goes away. You just forget about it at points. So I got the time. I definitely got the time resources right now, other than I got so much other stuff going on, but work slower than usual.
Yes, we all get into this point of frustrated. One of my coaching clients, I'm working on this. This person wasn't miserable in their job, so they didn't really have anything they needed to run from, and they didn't have a goal necessarily that they wanted to go to, and they were just kind of stuck. They weren't really unhappy, but they weren't happy either. And I was that way for 2 years before I finally got fired, and it was one of the best things that threw me into this. That I'm very lucky at how things have happened. All that said is I'm now making money with affiliates that it took me forever. I didn't do it right. I wouldn't recommend anyone do it how I've done it generally with affiliates. That's a topic for another day. But some of these things take time. Number one. Number two, just imagine how much more freedom or more likely would you be to tell your boss to shove it on a Friday when he asks you to stay late if you're making an extra $500 a month,
right?
Or an extra 1,000 or 1,500, and that either sounds like a lot to you, or it sounds like, well, I can't live on $1,500 a month. But it's like when you go into a job interview and you already have a job, you can say things that you wouldn't normally say. You can be more bold. I mean, if you had an extra $1,000 a month, all of a sudden, like, I'm out, man. I'm going on a 4 or 5 day weekend because I've funded my cruise vacation or this long hunting trip with my friends because of the stuff that you're doing online. And when you think about it, and one of the guys that I was hanging out with this weekend, I was frustrated because he's frustrated with his job, but he's just going to go right into another one. And I've been trying to get him to do marketing as well. He's the director of marketing that I mentioned. I've been trying to get him to do that for 6 or 7 months. And it's not that light switch. You guys have heard me talk about how we would love for it to be a light switch transition between day job to dream job, right? But think about if you had 5 people, just 5 clients paying you $300 a month to do what we're talking about here. That's $1,500 a month where you could have all of that work done as your skills develop 10 to 15 hours in 2 to 3 hours every weekend. Get up early on a Saturday morning, you knock it all out. You schedule those social media things. You build the websites or whatever, and the rest of it it's not 100% passive income, but if you're used to making $20 an hour and you're billing your clients $100 an hour, that's kind of like $80 an hour in passive income. I mean, if you can get it knocked out in 3 hours, but you're billing somebody a whole month for it, that means you just got whatever a whole month full of hours left back in, and you're still getting paid for it. And if you do what we're talking about, again, I'm only saying this because I've been where you are. I've been where Beaton is. I've been where Steve is. That's how I knew where to tell you to go in Bluehost, because I've screwed it up myself. You get a handful of clients paying you to do things that are easy for you that you can just knock out. Like that guy told me building the website. Oh, that was quick. I probably turned it around too fast. But all of a sudden, the stuff that you become an expert at, you're getting paid way more for it than you're used to. 5 clients, $300 a month, 7 clients at 150, 200. And that's your vacation money, man. 6 months later, you can go to freaking Europe for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It'll just continue to build. You get so embedded into their business where you are providing so much value and doing so much for them, they can't ever leave. They don't want to, but they would have to figure out how to transition that to someone else. And it just builds and builds and builds. I made roughly $70 on Optimized Press through affiliate link. And one girl, she bought, I'd talked to her 6 months before. One guy bought today, and I talked to him regularly. But you add that 70, you add 15 to 20 on Amazon, you add 65 or, get a couple people to sign up because you're going to get your clients on the same hosting provider that you use because you know how to use it. That right there, that's a couple hundred a month, and that's not even providing services for anybody. Hopefully that helps. I wanted to be encouraging to everybody about how this stuff can be, I don't want to say simple, but how it can build on itself.
That's where I need to refocus, because that's stuff you don't think about that's something I don't think about this early in the game. All I think about is why would anybody pick me versus someone else or that type of stuff. So,
well, on one hand, don't beat yourself up, but on the other, that's a great question.
Right. I've got to be able to answer that myself before I can explain that to anybody else. So that's where I'm at. I'm soul searching. I'm finding that answer for myself.
Keep in mind, sometimes the answer to that question is, I'm here. I'm a warm body and no one's ever talked to me about it before. Sometimes that's enough. The other thing I would add there is find and maybe it's me in some aspects, not everything that I'm doing, but maybe for some of the stuff we've talked about in the past, find somebody who's doing what you want to do and just copy it. I mean, don't rip off their stuff, but just do what they're doing.
Right.
It proves that the market's there, and then just copy, maybe not necessarily what they do, but how they do it. Use the shortcut. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. And I think that might help with the overwhelm.
I think I was talking to you about it the other day, but that I need to get that first digital, $10 or cheaper, whatever.
Yeah.
Product. I gotta put that together. I don't think I've found I really don't think I've found what I want that to be yet, but I need to just do something and put it out there just to get it out there.
Well, not to overwhelm you, but create a dozen of them. Have 10 $5 products up there, and
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's what, and I signed up for something that Ryan had created, Ryan Dice, and it says, the first step is converting visitors to subscribers, and then as fast as you can, you want to start building a list of buyers, and a list of buyers is more valuable even than the subscriber. That's where, hey, I normally sell this for $5, but, I'm going to throw it out there and, I'll give you all 10 of them for $3. And it's just getting that dollar. It's getting someone to pay you money just for one. That's why I offered those 3 months free or 1 month trials for the membership site for $1. It's converting people to buyers.
A wild idea I had the other day, and this is probably like me bouncing around again, but I'd really like to do some type of book, some type of, nothing too crazy, but like your podcast book. But then I started thinking about it some more, and I'd love to get my wife involved and maybe do some type of children's book revolving around math, and she's a math teacher. But I don't know. I had digital. Jason, you have children. Digital kids book. Is that even a market? I'm sure it's a market, but is that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially so think of like the Kindles and everything like that you can do right now. But when we were kids, we had the big books that you had to pen with, and if you like pressed a certain word, it'd read it to you.
Right.
Think of something like that. That's nowadays with Kindle is very, very easy to do. For instance, I've got a hard time beating my son off, not beating him literally, but you know what I mean, getting him off the iPad and go outside, you know? So, yeah, I mean, anything that they can do to engage is definitely, and it can be done with mom or dad and kid. Pretty dang awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky for you, Derek, I know someone who I'm good friends with, a girl named Kim, who created a children's book about generosity. And she went to, I think, Kickstarter, got it funded, and she's now publishing a kid's book that she created. So I if you do want to do that, I have a contact that I could introduce you to that would help at least point you in the right direction, if not something else.
Right. I thought, like I said, that's another one of my bouncing way off of. It's not way off of, obviously, because I could market it, promote it, all that good stuff. So I would be using some of the skills that I have, but being a kid's book, that's not water that I've treaded before. But I thought it'd be pretty cool to get my wife involved with it.
Yeah. Well, and just keep in mind, that doesn't have to be your brand, but your brand is helping that brand.
Right.
She hired the marketing company that you work for.
Right.
You just happen to own it too.
Right.
And that's just one more case study. That's one more item in the portfolio, something like that. You know, I helped this entrepreneur create a book, market, and sell that book.
Right.
The tactics are different, but the strategy is the same for you, Mr. Plummer.
Yep.
And
yep. That key takeaway right there is probably the biggest thing I've learned in probably the last month is the strategy is always the same. The only thing different is the message. So once you get that, once you work at a couple ones, Derek, and you get that kind of running, you've done it 3 or 4 times, like Ellery says, taken 3 years to do a website in 3 hours. You know, you get that done several times, and boom, 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 you're gonna start seeing that's start to happen.
Well, any other questions, guys, before we do wrap up?
Nope.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Go make sure you submit questions for the experts call tomorrow. I've already got 6 or 7 really great questions, but make sure you ask those questions that will help you in your business, whatever it is. Make sure you ask those questions because it's going live tomorrow. And as you know, even if you don't make the live call, they will all be in the replay in the membership site. So I didn't get a whole lot into CRM stuff, but I think the rest of it was pretty solid info for you, Derek, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
CRM, guys, that's not something that's going to go away. It's only going to become more important as we continue to grow, and the possibilities are really exciting for helping each one of us go from blog to business, really, from
Right.
podcast to business, from whatever we're doing to creating all those things. So anytime you feel like asking, we'll bring it up. All right. Any final questions? Anything we forgot to cover?
Nope. I'm good.
All right, guys. Well, you have a wonderful evening. If it's raining where you are, stay safe, all those kinds of things.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So that's what a mastermind with me looks like. We've been meeting for about a year, and some of our needs or the group's needs may not be exactly where you are. They may be ahead, or maybe they're a little bit behind. Each group, I try to get people who are in about the same spot, so there is a sense of we are all doing this together. No one is so far ahead or so far behind that you don't really feel comfortable, or you don't really feel like it's a good fit. So not all masterminds are set up that way. I'm very intentional with how I set those up, and that's what it looks like. If you think it's for you, go to empoweredpodcast.com/92, and you'll see a link to where you can get more information about the next mastermind group that I am starting later this fall. And again, I start one every quarter just to keep up with new requests, keep new people joining the rotation, and adding to the community, adding to the information resources. So the value is continually going up and up and up as more people come in and get introduced and share their knowledge and learn from the rest of the group. So each group is pretty small. I try to keep them between 4 and 6 people, including myself. The space is very limited, and I am a member of every single group, and I love that. So go to either empoweredpodcast.com/92 or shoot me an email, Ellery@ElleryWells.com, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you. Podcast Movement 2015 is coming up. If you have already subscribed to my list, you have opted in for something, you have downloaded one of my resources, check your email as of last week. I sent out an email. I'm going to have a private meetup, and I would love to meet you and introduce myself and have you introduce yourself to me. And I sent out an email. All you have to do is find that email and click it, and that link will just register you to get updates for my meetup for Podcast Movement. It doesn't give you anything else. It doesn't obligate you to anything. It doesn't say, hey, you've got to, be a part of this, or if you don't want to. All it does is say, hey, I'm interested and I would like more results. So check your email. I sent that out on July the 13th. At about 11:45 Central. So if you haven't seen that email or you haven't clicked or responded to that email, please do so, because I'm going to have an awesome meetup. I'd love to introduce you to other listeners of the show. To me, you get to meet me and my wife and just have a good time. If you're going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area from July 31st to August 2nd, you don't even have to be going to the conference. If you are in the area, I would love to meet you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Ellery Wells. We'll talk to you next week, or see you at Podcast Movement. And that's a wrap for episode 92. We're almost to episode 100. What would you like to see in the next 100 episodes of the Empowered Podcast? Type up an email, put next 100 in the subject line, and send me a note. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next 100 episodes.